things here. To do that, we need a fit-for-purpose public sector that will help deliver on these priorities. A public sector that builds on our successes to date, helps us deliver on our commitments, and develops new ideas for the future. Which is why I announced a targeted public sector reforms that will ensure all levels of government are pulling in the same direction. A Team WA approach that enables us to tackle the challenges ahead of us in these uncertain global times. To maintain Western Australia's position as the strongest economy in the nation while meeting the challenges that come with having the fastest growing population in the nation. To seize the opportunities ahead of us to deliver jobs, hospitals and houses. And to ensure WA remains the best place to live, to raise a family, to work and do business. These changes included the consolidation of a number of functions at the Department of Premier and Cabinet and the Department of Treasury and Finance, as well as the creation of the Departments of Creative Industries, Tourism and Sport, the Department of Mines and Petroleum and Exploration, and the Department of Housing and Works. Today, I'm announcing the next step in this progression, fresh leadership for these 5 departments to take our state into the future. After a nationwide search, we're announcing 5 new appointments, new leaders with the energy, experience, qualifications and capacity for innovation that will drive their respective departments and deliver on our plan for Western Australia. First, Mr Michael Carey will become the Director General of the Department of Premier and Cabinet. He has previously worked as the Queensland Under-Treasurer and Associate Director General, Cabinet Office at the Queensland Department of Premier and Cabinet. Michael has more than 20 years leadership experience, including policy and program reforms, which have strongly contributed to economic and social development. Ms Joanne Wilkie will become WA's first female Under-Treasurer and will lead the Department of Treasury and Finance. Joanne is currently Deputy Secretary of the Economic Strategy and Productivity Group at the New South Wales Treasury, where she has demonstrated an extensive knowledge for contemporary approaches to economic management and development, as well as a proven ability to manage issues presented by global uncertainty. The new Director General of the Department of Creative Industries, Tourism and Sport will be Mr Chad Anderson. Chad was most recently Deputy Director General of Tourism at Queensland's Department of Environment, Tourism, Science and Innovation. He has more than 20 years' experience in federal, state and territory governments with a strong track record in the finance, education, sport and tourism sectors, where he's demonstrated a talent for identifying opportunities and building partnerships, as well as developing a culture of innovation and delivering in cross-sector strategies. Mr Chris Shaw will be the Director General of the Department of Mines, Petroleum and Exploration. Chris is currently Deputy Director General of Approvals at the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation. He has national experience in enhancing minerals and resources industries to add value and bring expanded benefits to the community, as well as an extensive knowledge of the mining and petroleum industries and a track record of managing complex negotiations to ensure delivery of major industry projects. Mr Leon McIver will be the Director General of the Department of Housing and Works. Leon is currently Deputy Director General of Housing and Homelessness at the Department of Communities. He is an experienced successful senior executive who has delivered major social infrastructure projects and programs. He is highly credentialed and is a leader who has overseen strategic government services, including property and tenancy management, planning, strategic asset management, intergovernmental relations, property development and construction. Now, Leon McIver will begin his new role on the 1st of July. Joanne Wilkie, Michael Carey, Chad Anderson and Chris Shaw will begin their roles on the 4th of August. the Public Sector Commissioner will put acting arrangements in place to ensure effective leadership in the interim. It is great to see two outstanding leaders from our public sector receive an opportunity for promotion. It is also exciting to see three leaders join us from outside of the state, bringing valuable insights as we pursue our vision of becoming the best place in the world to do business. It is a vote of confidence in WA that these outstanding leaders are keen to relocate here, and I look forward to welcoming them to Western Australia. Today, I can also confirm the Governor has reappointed Ms Heather Brayford as the Director-General of the Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development and Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Business Development Corporation. Ms Brayford has previously held positions in the public sector, including Director-General of the Department of Fisheries and Deputy Director-General Sustainability and Biosecurity at the Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development. Now, this morning, I am also announcing the appointment of our new Agent General, a position that is vital to attracting investment and promoting trade in the United Kingdom, Europe and Israel. With the current Agent General's contract due to expire on the 17th of July, I'm proud to confirm that Ms Rebecca Tompkinson will take over the role for a 3-year term. Excuse me. Ms Tompkinson has demonstrated significant leadership and policy expertise across a range of industry sectors that are vital to the state's economic development, including most recently at the Chamber of Minerals and Energy. The UK and Europe are critical to the diversification and decarbonisation of our state's economy, with strong interest in a number of sectors, including energy, mining, but particularly defence industries. Ms Tompkinson will be based in London. The London office is responsible for developing and implementing strategic migration strategies to the UK to source skilled workers such as builders, tradies, health professionals and teachers. Ms Tompkinson follows Ms Angela Kelly, who is due to complete her 9-month term as Agent General in July. I want to thank Ms Kelly for her work as Agent General over the past 9 months. Under Ms Kelly's leadership, the London and Frankfurt offices have fostered strategic relationships with government and industry in key international markets, and we are incredibly grateful for her efforts. The refreshed public sector leadership that I've announced today will help Western Australia meet the opportunities and challenges associated with being the strongest economy in the nation, with the fastest growing population in the nation. My government has a laser-like focus on the priorities of jobs, health and housing, and our Directors General, as well as our new Agent General, will bring new energy and ideas to help us deliver for the community. I've always valued the work of the public sector, and today's announcement brings new blood and fresh ideas that will see a Team WA approach at all levels of government as we navigate these globally uncertain times. And I take any questions.
The Agent General, instead of asking for reviewing the paying conditions after John Langland left, have you changed what Rebecca will be paid?
Yeah, that's right. So JETSI undertook at my request a review of the Agent General's remuneration package and entitlements to ensure that it was fit for purpose. However, some of the benefits have been removed and that did not align with community expectations, for example, around air travel. So the Agent General's salary has been assessed by the Public Sector Commission in conjunction with an independent third party as Band 2 Executive Officer and has an annual salary of $365,350.
There were other very lucrative perks in that. There was an apartment allowance and other unlisted allowances that they were named.
Yeah, so the Agent General is entitled to a 3-bedroom furnished apartment in London, up to a maximum cost of £9,250 per month. Now, this package is benchmarked against market conditions by a third-party provider. Hamish?
Just on the travel, what are the actual changes?
Okay, so you remember there was some commentary around the fact that Mr Langland used his entitlement, which was a return trip to Perth each each year, cash that out for a holiday in another part of the world. I don't think that met community expectations. So each of the trade commissioners retains that entitlement, but it is only coming from their place of work back to Perth, Western Australia.
Was there consideration given to reducing the salary to the same as the other trade commissioners? Why did we pay our Chinese trade ambassador, our Indian trade ambassador, less than our London?
Yeah, well, so obviously the Agent General is one of our trade commissioners, but it's obviously a position which has higher levels of seniority and obligations in terms of the conduct of their business. So that's why I asked the Public Sector Commissioner, who worked with a third-party reviewer, just to look at it. And we've looked at, for instance, other like positions in Western Australia, other Agent General roles from around the country, but also equivalent sort of levels of responsibility which a DFAT officer would enjoy. And that's why they've come out of that at that particular range. Band range. I'm not sure the nature of the review, as in there wasn't a report that was given to me, so I'm very happy to provide as much detail as I can.
So is it only the changes to the flights, or what else has been stripped from that?
My understanding that is the key one. We wanted to make sure that the allowances for accommodation were consistent with market expectations in the region they're working. So that's why we had a third party analyse that as well. The overall package, I don't have it to hand at the moment, but I can confirm that there was a review of the salary component, which then provided that it would come out as a non-CEO Band 2 executive officer pay range, plus entitlements consistent with the other trade commissioners.
Can I ask, was Michael Kaiser a candidate for the DPC role?
No.
Was he a candidate for any of the roles?
No.
A few of these positions are being filled, as you mentioned, with people migrate. You can't they understand West Australian issues?
Well, that was what they were required to be able to demonstrate in their interview and selection process. Look, can I just say I'm delighted that we did attract such a strong field from interstate. That's not the usual experience when we're recruiting inside the Western Australian public sector. So I'm delighted that we've seen such strong candidates. Michael and Joanne are in particular very high-performing public sector leaders, and they need to be. They're running two of our key departments. And so I very much welcome them, their families, to Western Australia. Can also just say that it's also interesting that our new chief scientist, Professor Sharath Sriram, is also coming from the East Coast. He's coming from RMIT. He's a rock star scientist. So it's interesting that Western Australia is really starting to be looked at as an opportunity for people who are wanting to extend their careers in the public sector.
Is Joanne, is she on board the GST fight?
Well, she'll know, absolutely. She'll know that that's going to be one of the key areas that she has to focus on. We want to also continue to drive efficiency and productivity right through our public sector, and obviously the Under Treasurer has a key role in that. She'll also be joined, as you know, by the former Under Treasurer Michael Barnes as our GST caped crusader, and from that perspective, I think we're assembling a formidable team.
Will she have kind of a unique perspective? She's coming from New South Wales, is that right?
That's right. It's not another country, Hamish.
I know. But will she have a unique perspective on? She's coming from their public service. They're the ones complaining about GST. So will you put that to use?
Oh, absolutely. If she's got any insider information in terms of those who are trying to undermine our fair share of the GST, well, she'll be obviously, that would be great intel that we could utilise. But obviously what we are just very excited about is that we are attracting such high calibre candidates. And can I say, the entire field for all these positions was extremely competitive, and both from locals and interstate alike.
There was a decision last time that of the two most senior public sector roles in the state, there wasn't a West Australian that was deemed suitable for the role.
I'm not concerned at all. As I said, incredibly competitive. But the field went far and wide, not just within the Western Australian public sector, but right across the country. So it's not surprising that that we're in a position to now make these appointments. I will emphasise, of course, that Chris Shaw and and Leon MacGyver are two locals from our public sector. They were very competitive as well, and that's why they've both been promoted to the position of Director General.
Sorry, to the question. Sorry, Courtney, to the question of the pay rises.
Yep.
There was a deliberate comment from Margaret Sears last year that we needed to increase these salaries dramatically to start attracting interstate talent. Was that the right move?
I don't know if that's the reason why they applied for the jobs, so I guess is what I'm saying. But if it was the salary as well as the opportunities that comes from working in one of the strongest economies in the country, well, I'm really excited about that.
There's often a discussion about the brain drain from WA. A lot of talent, particularly in the private sector, in tech, etc., goes over east. Are you is this maybe the start of that reversing?
Well, we know that, and I hear anecdotally, particularly from our medical and life sciences community, that increasingly we're holding on to our young people. As you know, what tends to be the career progression of someone, particularly in these highly specialised and expert fields, is that they leave Western Australia to chase the opportunities in other states or other countries. And eventually they come back home because they have kids and they realise that Western Australia is such an amazing place to live. If we're now starting to overcome that brain drain or that position where people leave us for a period of time because they see the opportunities here in Western Australia, well, that's a great development. And we know that we are continuing to start to hold a lot of our really highly credentialed university graduates and young specialists.
What kind of message do you think it sends both the sector who's poached a bunch of bureaucrats from interstate to bring them back here?
Oh, you mean our public sector? Well, look, I think they will respect the fact that two of these candidates were recruited locally. Leon MacGyver and Chris Shaw are great candidates, and that's why we're appointing them as Director Generals. But also, we are saying, by these appointments, we're saying we want the best of the best. And I will just emphasise again, this was a highly competitive field made up of candidates from both locally and interstate. We've made these appointments in relation to those particular positions, but many of the Western Australian candidates were successful or could have been very successful appointments to these positions as well.
How many people did apply?
Sorry?
How many people did apply?
Well, I don't have the number across all the positions. The point that I get engaged is once they've done a short list, what they tend to do is interview, say, 5 or 6 people for each of those roles, and then they come back and do subsequent interviews as a result of that interviewing process.
Were there West Australians on the shortlist for the
Yes.
DPC?
For all of them, yes. Yeah.
The DPC Director General role is often a political appointment. Is Michael Carey, does he have any affiliations with Labor at all over in Queensland?
He's certainly not a member of the Labor Party. I don't know what his political affiliations are. What I want is an effective leader. What I want is for someone who can continue to play a key role in the public sector to make sure that we have a Team WA approach, to make sure that we're implementing our commitments, ensuring that WA is the best place to live, work and play and to run a business. And so for that, I was looking for really strong leaders in those, particularly in those what we call central agencies, such as Premier and Cabinet and Treasury and Finance.
And is Joanne and Michael, are they on board your kind of vision? You've said previously that, diversification of the economy is what you want to achieve, but you want to kind of centrally orchestrate it. Are they on board with that? How are they going to kind of make your vision come to life?
Well, they're professional career public servants, and their job is to implement the policies of the government. We have clearly articulated our policies that we want to continue to have a laser-like focus on jobs, health and housing, that we want to continue to make sure that Western Australia's economy is the strongest in the nation, and that we are continuing to diversify our economy by doubling down on our support for the resources sector, making sure we make more things here. They understand that, and that's why they've taken the opportunity to apply for these positions, and I'm very proud to have made these appointments today.
Any reflections on John McKechnie retiring?
Oh, look, John McKechnie, again, look, speaking of great career public servants, John McKechnie has played an extraordinary role on behalf of Western Australia in roles, including as an esteemed legal practitioner, a judge, and also, of course, heading up our CCC, our Corruption and Crime Commission. And he did so with absolute courage and disregard for any fear or favour in relation to the conduct of that organisation. I think he restored a lot of faith and strength to the CCC, and we are very grateful for his work.
Will you be taking a bipartisan approach to appointing Mr McKechnie's replacement?
Well, it is appropriate, and we do make sure that we consult with opposition parties in relation to the appointment of the CCC Commissioner. Now, the actual appointment process is heavily prescribed and in detail in relation to the Act, and we'll be following that.
You don't have to, but will you be asking for majority support from the Joint Standing Committee?
Well, the Joint Standing Committee obviously is required to acknowledge and endorse or verify the appointment of the CCC Commissioner. I think at the moment that we will see an appropriate approach for John McKechnie's replacement, and obviously that's going to be an extensive process as well. It's a very important position.
You said that you consult with the party, but will you, if the opposition party says, no, we don't like this candidate, will you listen to them?
No, we have to obviously undertake the process of consultation, as we do for a range of positions, for instance, like the Electoral Commissioner. That is prescribed within the Act, and as I said, very carefully prescribed in relation to the CCC Act, and so we'll follow the letter of the law.
You created the deputy position last year. Is he the sort of natural successor in your mind, Michael Corbett?
Oh, you mean in terms of the Electoral
The
Commission?
Commissioner becoming the
Oh,
Corruption and Crime Commission.
No, no, not necessarily, but obviously we'll undertake that recruitment process.
Premier, is it still the government's plan to close its remaining coal-fired power stations by 2029? And if so, how credible is that plan, given the difficulties your government is facing in building replacement capacity?
Yes, it is our plan, and we will do it.
The raw sewage that you're leaking into the Swan.
Yeah.
Have you got an update on that? And the opposition is saying that Water Corp isn't resourced enough because your government has been taking dividends away from that organisation, which could be pumping back into the networks to
Okay. Yeah.
resolve these issues.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let me go through some of the details. Now, obviously, over the course of the weekend, we had a major rupture of a main water pipe in relation to the to that area around Spearwood. I think the actual pipe was around about 1/2 metre in diameter, so it was a really important part of the network. That led to the shutting down of around about 5 different pumps in the local area to make sure that crews could get in there and make repairs. That can only last so long, right? So obviously this is a major pipe which needed repairing, but we did have some backup which led to the discharge incidents. Those incidents have now been have now finished, and the system is back online. But as a result of that major rupture, that did lead to that situation where you saw those discharge events. I'm very pleased that the situation has now been resolved, and we ask everyone to make sure you follow the public health advice if you are impacted by those discharge events. In relation to the point that you make around Water Corp, it's got nothing to do with the dividends that are paid or withheld. The fact of the matter is that Water Corp maintains a very stringent and very large maintenance program. It impacts net debt regardless of whether they have dividends or otherwise. I'll get you details in terms of how that maintenance budget has progressed over the years, but there's nothing to suggest that anything that we've done has led to a situation which means that that maintenance isn't taking place.
You're comfortable that they're resourced enough, and is this a one-off? Because the pictures are pretty disgusting. Shit, spewed all over an oval.
Well, look, I can't guarantee that there won't be.
To be frank.
Premier.
No, look, obviously, we have an extensive water pipe network servicing the entire metropolitan area. And don't forget, while we're at it, one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the world. So it is actually an extensive network. And obviously in those inner suburbs and older suburbs, that network needs ongoing care and maintenance. So occasionally you will see a situation where there's a rupture or a breakage. How you respond to that is the important part, and they've responded very well in this particular incident. And we need Water Corp to continue to do work to monitor any ongoing ageing infrastructure and making sure that we replace it in due course.
There were a number of houses. There were a number
Sorry.
of houses in Spearwood.
Sorry. Let me go, Dylan, then Court.
There were a number of houses in Spearwood that had some issues with,
The discharge, yep.
discharge coming into
Yep.
the house. Are you looking at a compensation package for them? Are you looking at, is there a payment that can be made given their house is clearly damaged?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it probably doesn't smell very good right now.
Yeah, I don't have that detail in relation to what's available for consumers that are impacted by discharge events, but obviously we can get that to you.
This is back to coal-fired power station.
Yes.
We know there are difficulties and you're going to face difficulties in closing them by 2029. Is that a commitment right now that will be, they will be shut by 2029? Are you committed to that?
Western Australia will be the only state in the country that will be out of coal by 2030. This is a commitment that was made by my predecessor. I've maintained that commitment and restated on any occasion I have the opportunity. It stands in contrast to every other state and territory in the country that won't be able to say that they're out of coal by 2030. Now, that's not going to be easy. We know that it's a challenge. We need to continue to make sure that we are supplementing our generating capacity. We need to make sure that we continue to build out our transmission capacity. That's the reason why we've made so many commitments and why we're making so many investments. Commitments around manufacturing our own transmission infrastructure so we could got control over the supply chains, because obviously there's a lot of countries around the world who are building up their transmission as part of the clean energy transition. One of our key programs at the moment is the Clean Energy Corridor, which is coming down from the Midwest, utilising the huge wind power potential of our Midwest region into the Southwest interconnected system. That's going to be an important part of making sure that we are making the investments, but also having the progress to ensure that we're out of coal by 2030.
You said the situation in relation to the pipes has been resolved, but how is the clean-up effort of that discharge material going? And what's being done to make sure that if there's another pipe that has an issue, that there isn't this flow-on effect, and we do see, as Hamish put it before.
Yeah. Well, look, let me just, I don't have... I don't have a briefing today in relation to the clean-up efforts, but obviously Water Corp will have that as a key focus, and I'll invite the Water Minister to make further public comment either today or tomorrow in relation to that. The second part, what I can say is that water flows downhill. It doesn't stop. So in the situation where you have a pipe which is ruptured and you need to stop that flow to ensure that you fix that pipe, there will be backup. That water will back up. This is the nature of maintenance or of repairs when it comes to our water network. But we try to ensure that is done so without any sort of discharge events. Obviously, in this case, it was a significant pipe that was ruptured, and as a result of that did ultimately lead to those discharge events.
I mean, just one more on the series.
On the poo,
Yeah.
yes,
The-
which is a more polite way of saying
yeah,
it,
I
Hamish.
apologise.
You and children.
The Environment Minister today launched the Environment Watch website, which is a tool for the public to see pollution events.
Yep.
The Spearwood event's not on there, I assume because it's being managed by Water Corp. Is that an oversight from that important tool?
I don't have the details on that, Hamish, but obviously the Environment Minister is harnessing the full potential of the community and particularly citizen scientists to make sure that we all have an oversight or a view of any sort of environmental events.
Premier, just after your response to a parliamentary inspector describing a Justice Department corruption investigation as wholly inadequate.
I don't have the details of. Could you provide me with a bit more? What does it say?
Cairns' story this morning.
Oh, right. No, sorry, I haven't read it, so my apologies. But obviously, the Department of Corrections is on a journey. It's a journey that was started under the Minister Papalia when I became elected in 2023. there's significantly down that path of that journey of continuing to make sure that we raise the culture and the approach of the department to ensure that we continue to perform better on behalf of the community. Banksia Hill's a very good example of that, how you're seeing significant change, not just about the way the department operates, but the culture which drives it. And that's work which has been undertaken by Commissioner Royce right across the sector.
Last question. Are you confident your government's doing enough to combat drug use and possession in communities?
Well, certainly we know that from the statistics that police provide that we're seeing a significant reduction in the amount of drug use, particularly meth, because we see that through the levels of seizure that takes place and the arrests that occur in that area. But we know that drug use and drug abuse will continue to be a problem, not only for our society, but societies right across the world. It's important that we continue to maintain work in that space. The Mental Health Commission does a lot of work around education, around continuing to make sure that we support young people in particular to make good decisions. But also where people are falling into a pattern of addiction, that we have the services there to support them. Now, we don't want these drugs in our community, and that's why police take such a strong stance. And under my government, you're seeing a significant increase in the number of seizures and arrests that take place in relation to illicit drugs.
Are you seeing an increase in other drugs though? Or you say meth is down,
Yeah.
the amount of meth seized is down. Are you seeing other drugs increase in its place?
Well, look, I use meth as an example because often the media are depicting Perth as the meth capital of Australia. I think Melbourne gets the heroin capital of Australia and Sydney gets the cocaine capital of Australia. But obviously any illicit drugs need to be stamped out from our community. But the best way to do that is to have an informed community, and a community which is informed about how harmful these drugs can be, and that we all work together to ensure that they don't continue to do damage to everyone in our village.
Has the BKFC lodged a new application to host an event, the bare knuckle?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, no. Yeah. Thanks very much, everyone.